Hi all, and welcome back to another economics video lecture. In today's lecture we are going to do something that is really very important from the exam point of view. Alright, today we are going to study the law of demand. It is chapter number 3A of your HSC, that is Maharashtra Board Economics textbook. And if you remember, and if you have seen the previous video, in our previous class we had completed up till the determinants of demand. Very simple. Just to recap, those of you who have not seen the video yet, please do watch it on my channel, either the channel of Maharashtra College. Alright, so determinants of demand are those factors which can change demand. Certain factors, certain things are such which can change your demand. Those things are, for example, price, income, population. So all these factors we had seen in our previous video class, and now we take the chapter a bit more forward, and we are going to do the most important thing of this chapter, that is the law of demand. Now, exam point of view, this particular law is very important. If you see the papers of previous years, the past papers, this question is usually asked for 8 marks. Now when it is asked for 8 marks, they will club 2 questions and give you, like for example, they will ask you state and explain the law of demand along with its assumptions, or they might ask you state and explain the law of demand along with its exceptions. All right, so what are assumptions, what are exceptions, all that we are going to do, but right now we are going to focus on the law of demand. All right, a very important from the exam point of view. This law of demand was given by Professor Alfred Marshall in his book The Principles of Economics, which was published in 1890. Okay, so Alfred Marshall came up with many laws, and this was one law where he is trying to explain how price and demand, they are connected, how they are related to each other. Now this particular, who has given the law and in which book and in which year, this particular statement is important from the objective point of view, when you have fill in the blanks, or when you have objectives like true or false. So there you may be asked certain questions, so that's important. You need to remember it is by Professor Alfred Marshall in his book Principles of Economics, published in 1890. All right, so according to Professor Marshall, he says that what is law of demand? He says law of demand is something where you are showing how price brings about a change in demand. All right, very simple. First 2 words of this particular definition, or of this particular law, are very important. According to Alfred Marshall, he says, when you begin the statement of the law, he says other things remaining constant. That means he's trying to say here that other things are not changing. Then what is changing, and what are these other things? In my previous class, I had already mentioned to you, price is the main factor that brings about a change in demand. Apart from price, there are other factors also which can change the demand, but those are known as other factors or other things. So here Professor Alfred Marshall is assuming that other things, the other factors other than the price, other things like for example your income, the population of the country, your taste, your habits, your preferences, the fashion, the taxation policy, all of that is not changing. What is changing? Only the price of the commodity is changing. So he says other things remain constant when the price of a commodity is high, or when it is greater, or when it is big. When the price is high, when the price is more, the demand will be less, it will be smaller, and vice versa. When the price will fall, the demand is going to rise. Okay, so this is a human tendency Okay, all of us exhibit the same behavior. When anything becomes expensive, we curb our desires and we stop demanding it, so the demand naturally reduces. And opposite, when something becomes cheap, when something becomes affordable, we increase our demand and we buy it more. So that is the law of demand according to Alfred Marshall. But one thing that is important here, he is focusing on something which is remaining constant. And what is that something? The other factors. Okay, the other factors are not going to change. Only what is going to change? Only the price is going to change. When the price will rise, the demand will fall, and when the price will fall, the demand will rise. Now you see, the arrows are moving in opposite direction. When one is increasing, the other one is decreasing, and when one is decreasing, the other one is increasing. Here you have to mention that price and demand, they both have an inverse relation. Why do they have inverse relationship? Because when one rises, the other falls, and when the other falls, the previous one rises. They exhibit an inverse relationship because the arrows are moving in the opposite direction. Let us, for example, take income. Okay, you have studied it in determinants of demand that income can change your demand. When, okay, income, here, Y stands for income and demand. Let us see the relationship between income and demand. When my income is rising, when I'm earning more, when I am having a lot of salary, when I have a handsome salary, what will happen? Automatically my demand is going to rise. Why? Because I can afford, I have the money, so I will demand more. But when my income will fall, what will happen? Automatically my demand will fall, because now I am earning less, I don't have much money to spend. So income and demand have a direct relationship. When income increases, demand also increases. When income falls, demand also falls. So income and demand exhibit a direct relationship, but price and demand exhibit an inverse relationship. So this is the law of demand. A very simple formula says demand of a commodity X is the function of प्राइस ऑफ एक्स. ऑलराइट, डिमांड किस चीज पर डिपेंड करेगा? डिमांड हमारे प्राइस पर डिपेंड करेगा. एज एंड व्हेन द प्राइस चेंजेस, द डिमांड इज आल्सो गोइंग टू ब्रिंग अबाउट अ change. Okay, so this becomes your statement of the law. Other things remain constant. When the price is higher or when the price is greater, the demand is going to be smaller, and when the price falls or when the price is small, the demand is going to rise. Now this we are going to study with the help of a schedule and the table. In the exam you have to compulsorily make the schedule, the demand schedule, and the curve, the demand curve. So in the beginning we are going to make the schedule. If you have seen my previous video, when we did something that was known as individual demand, that time we had already seen the schedule. So let us just repeat, it's good for us. All right, so this is going to be the schedule of law of demand. All right, the schedule is a table, as all of you know. All right, the table is divided into two columns. One column says your price and the other column says your quantity demanded. Okay, now let us take for example the price is 50, 40, 30, 20 and 10. Here if you see, the price is the highest, so quantity demanded will be lowest as per the law of demand given by Alfred Marshall. When the price is high, the quantity demanded is low. Alright, so this is your demand schedule where price is in terms of rupees and quantity demanded 50, 40, 30, 20 and 10. And now this we are going to plot on our curve that is known as the demand curve. So whenever we are plotting a curve, whenever we are making any diagram in economics, the first thing that you are going to do is name the diagram. This was the schedule. Now this is the DD curve. I'll just erase this. Okay, so now what I'm drawing my demand curve. So I'm writing here the DD curve. Alright. Now, the first thing that you are going to do is you're going to make the x-axis and the y-axis and the point of origin. Okay, on the y-axis you are going to plot your price. So you're going to write price, and on x-axis you're going to plot the quantity, and on y-axis you're going to plot the price. Now, price 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We begin from origin. 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Alright. Again, quantity demanded, we begin from origin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. Alright. Now, let us plot it one by one. When the price was rupees 50, obviously it was expensive, so the quantity demanded was only 1 unit. Alright, so here when the price was 50, the quantity demanded was only 1. In the line of 50 and in the line of 1, you are going to plot a point. Same way, when the price reduced, when the price is falling, okay, you will see a downward slope here. The arrow is moving downwards, which means the price is falling. When the price falls, automatically the quantity increases. When it became 40 rupees, the quantity demanded became 2 units. So in the line of 2 and in the line of 40, we are going to plot a point. Next, when price fell further, 30 rupees, that time the quantity demanded was 3. Okay, just a bit problem with the sequence. Yes, so when the price was 30, quantity demanded was 3. So again, in the line of 30 and in the line of 3, you're going to plot a point. Same way, when the price further fell, it became 20 rupees. The demand further rise, it was increasing, and in the line of 20, in the line of 4, another point. Finally, when the price fell to its lowest level, that is just 10 rupees, people started demanding more and more, and when you were getting 5 units for huge amount, 250 rupees, now you're getting those same 5 units. Because the price has reduced, it became 10 rupees, you are getting 5 units at a very cheaper price. Okay, so here in the line of 10 and in the line of 4, again you are going to plot the point. Now after you have done plotting the points, you are just going to join these dots, and these dots joined together give you your DD curve. Now this DD curve is downward sloping. Why it is downward sloping? Because the price is continuously falling and the demand is continuously rising. That is why this demand curve is downward sloping. Now according to Alfred Marshall, one big assumption he said that other things should remain constant. He wants to prove that this law of demand will hold true only when the other factors are not going to change. Only the factor that is going to change is the price. Everything else, your income, your taxation policies of the government, your taste, preferences, your habits, the population of the country, the substitute goods, the complementary goods, all those factors, all those determinants should not change. The other things should remain constant. Only what should change is the price of that commodity. If the other factors change, the law of demand will not hold true. Okay, now why Alfred Marshall is taking help of these assumptions? Very simple, because when we were doing chapter number 1, when we learned about microeconomics, we studied something that is known as partial equilibrium. And in partial equilibrium, we study something that is known as ceteris paribus. Other things remain constant. So because we are studying microeconomics, because this entire law of demand is based on it's is studied under microeconomics, that is why we are assuming that it is a partial equilibrium where the other things are not changing, ceteris paribus. Alright, so those other things which are not changing are very simple. It is given in the textbook. Okay, if you see the textbook on page number 21, the HSC textbook, there are certain list of points that are given to you, and if you compare assumptions to determinants, they are exactly the same points. So you have to learn only one answer. Once you have studied the determinants of demand, you just have to add a no. Alright, if they're asking you what are the assumptions of the law of demand, you are just going to write no change in the level of income, no change in the government policy, no change in the taxation policy, no change in the price of substitute goods, no change in your taste, habits and preferences. So the answer remains the same. The determinants are itself the assumptions, except one point, that is price. Price is the major reason why your demand will change. The other factors are assumptions. Alright, so Alfred Marshall is assuming that the level of income should remain constant, there should not be any change. Size of population should remain the same, price of substitutes and complementary goods should remain the same, the future expectations, okay, people should not have any expectations about future, that should remain the same, and taste, habit, preferences should remain same, and finally the government taxation policies should also remain the same. So if all these other factors remain the same, only then the law of demand will hold true, otherwise it is not going to hold true. Alright, so I hope you have understood what is the law of demand, and I hope you are going to learn well. Be sure to leave a comment, alright, and like it if you do really understand me, and share it with your friends, and do subscribe to my channel and also the channel of Maharashtra College. Alright, and please be free to give me a review so that I can improve on my teaching. Alright, thank you, see you again.